Is it going?
It's going. Welcome to Between Two Pastries. This is Nicole.
Hi, I'm Annie.
So today we're going to be talking a little bit about fluid and what our needs are around that, how much water we need, the different types of fluids we can get. We're going to talk a little bit about caffeine and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling Nicole how honestly the number one question I'm asked about whether I'm giving a presentation with high schoolers, college age adults, it doesn't even matter, about nutrition, about sports, about whatever. The number one question I'm asked is, so what about caffeine?
Yeah.
Is it okay that I have coffee every day? Mm-hmm. And so I thought it would be a really good thing to bring up, and we want to pair it just as, with liquid in general, because we do all have water requirements. Right. So let's start with the basic. Number one, you need water.
Yep.
All right, that's water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Check.
So kind of keeping in mind too, like when it does come down to your typical fluid needs, you need about half your body weight in water in ounces in a day. That's kind of a base level.
That's a big number.
Yeah. It can be, but yeah, kind of a base number, and then for every hour of activity or hour that you're kind of sweating or being,
gross.
Yeah. Then you need about 16 ounces to replenish that alone. But if you have caffeine, basically for every 8-ounce serving of caffeine, you need 2 cups of water just to help it metabolize and move through and replenish. And alcohol is kind of the same way. So for every ounce of alcohol, you need another 2 cups of water to metabolize.
Okay, hold on. Let's take a step back.
How dehydrated is everyone?
No, we're in a perpetual state of dehydration. Yeah. Okay, so taking a step back, don't anyone get on a scale right now. Think of it as like you need, females probably need 1 to 2 liters a day, right? Mm-hmm. Men are probably 2 to 3. And then you add in your activity hydration. Please don't do activity without drinking water. I assume this is your experience as well, but how many athletes out there, go on their 10, 15 mile run and don't have a single slurp of water?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's unreal. So keeping the basics in mind, anywhere from 1 liter to 3 liters a day of water plus your activity. Now, majority of people have a cup of coffee in the morning. Mm-hmm. So now we have to add more water to that. Or some people have, alcohol, maybe a glass of wine every night, or maybe they have something, just a few drinks on Fridays or Saturdays or whatever. Now you're adding to that as well.
Right.
Okay. What about, those of you living at altitude? Now there's another layer that we're adding in, right?
Right.
What about winter versus summer?
Right.
Oh my God, there's so many layers to liquid nutrition, and water and stuff like that. So, okay, we all know we need water, right? Okay, and let's really quick just touch on what water does in our body. It hydrates us.
Right. Very good.
I nailed it.
Yeah, you did nail it.
It hydrates our cells, right?
Yeah, right. It's a carrier though to basically all of our all the nutrition that we actually take in. So it actually kind of helps. I always kind of equate it to and tell my clients that you don't want your cells to look like raisins. You want them to be. I know I don't like raisins either. You want them to be nice and buoyant and fluid, so
like a grape,
so they can move through your system, carry everything they need to. So everything's getting kind of what they need. So when we think about like when we're thirsty or dehydrated, how sometimes you start getting headachy or you just feel like super low energy. Well, think about it. Your cells aren't really getting any nutrition because it can't. So number one, you could be potentially tired because of that. Also, just being dehydrated can make you feel that way too. But it's just another way of sort of maybe looking at it.
Well, okay, so our body is 60% water, right? So when we, Nicole talks about dehydration, you might also have a dry mouth. You might have some edema, which means you start to retain water, which is really a weird concept to people.
Yeah, when you aren't getting enough, you're retaining water.
You're retaining water.
Right.
And to touch on how important water is with homeostasis, with electrolytes.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking from an athletic standpoint. I'm just saying in general, for the human body to function, it needs, for the heart to pump, it needs sodium and potassium and water, and all of those three things have to be working together. So when, this is a whole nother topic, but that whole concept of, restricting water intake to help athletic performance, I think is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life.
It's beyond ridiculous, actually.
Please don't do that. We know 100% full research has been done, proven,
time and time again.
This is not a water is essential for life.
Right.
100% do not stop drinking water. And this isn't a warning to you. This isn't the point of this podcast. But just to make it very clear that we need water, and it functions. There's so many ways it functions within our body, and our needs go up based on weather and location and activity and all of those different things. And again, don't start to get crazy and start counting water molecules. But it's good to make sure you're drinking regularly. And for those that don't like to go to the bathroom at night, make sure you get all your water in by 5 o'clock. That kind of a concept.
I mean, usually you want to. I know for myself too. I find that if I cut my water off if I can do it, honestly, cutting my water off about 2 hours before bed and really just trying to sip a little if I have to, will almost guarantee I won't have to get up at night, which is nice.
I know that, and I still don't practice it.
Yeah.
I'm still up during the night usually, or I'm one of those people who's up at 3 a.m. So it's that's essentially during the night. Essentially. So I mean, I'm not sure I can argue I'm up during the night, or I'm up just at 3 a.m.
I think it's not officially morning until 4.
Yeah.
I think it's not morning until 4. Is it 4 at the time? It's actually morning?
It's actually morning. So...
Oh, gosh.
That's something that oftentimes I'm asked too, because people don't want to go, want to pee at night. But, okay, so switching gears now, because we want our liquid nutrition to kind of, to sum up. We don't want to beat a dead horse. We know water is important. So let's talk a little bit about caffeine, because like I said, my number one question is, well, what about coffee? And my response to clients or to people in general when they ask this is, it's not good, it's not bad. But when you're saying to anyone, me specifically, oh, I just can't make it through the day without a cup of coffee or without my coffee, now we have a problem.
Yeah.
Like there is nothing that you need in this world to get through the day.
Right. It's really true. Mm-hmm.
And if you are of that group of people, please consider giving up caffeine.
Yeah.
You really don't. And
it is what we train ourselves to think, though.
Yeah, 100%. And it doesn't matter what form it comes in, whether we need a Monster or a coffee or soda or whatever form caffeine is coming in.
Yeah.
And it's kind of mind-blowing because if you can sleep at night, great. We all wake up tired. I mean, that's a normal thing when we wake up, is to feel tired from the whole process. And as we get going, our body starts to our digestive tract wakes up, our brain wakes up, everything starts to function a little bit better as we go through the day. But if we can break that I can't live without caffeine cycle, you're going to be in a much better place.
Yeah. So, natural cortisol levels actually peak by 9 a.m., which is typically what's supposed to, wake us up, which is why they start rising around that 4 o'clock time. So that's actually why we actually wake when we do too, but they also peak by 9. And so technically that really is our coffee. And the thing about caffeine is that it will stimulate cortisol to remain higher longer, which is which is something that you really want to watch out for as you're continuing on your day and deciding that you need caffeine in your afternoon.
Right.
Because you don't want to be continuing to, raise cortisol levels when we really don't want them raised anymore at all, because it really does conflict with how your body utilizes body fat for energy, with how your ability is to actually sleep later at night, which I think is another huge issue of why people feel like they so desperately need to be relying on caffeine. So
we're in a cycle at that point.
We are in a cycle.
And to reiterate again, cortisol is a stress hormone.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Right? Cortisol is that stress hormone, absolutely.
And I think most people probably hear cortisol and remember it as, 10 years ago? Remember that commercial that was coming out about cortisol, and it was like the x-ray image of a body, and it showed how belly fat changed with cortisol.
That's funny.
Then it was like a pill or something. And I remember that commercial.
That's very funny.
Cortisol is really yucky. You don't want it to be elevated, and caffeine will keep it elevated.
Right. And stress elevates it during the day. But the thing is if we can not impose the elevation, we can't. Then that's always best. But the thing about caffeine to kind of keep in mind too is that it has what they call a half-life. So even when you take in, say, whatever you took at 9 o'clock, half of that caffeine is still in your system at 3 p.m.
Oof.
And the issue is that people keep compounding the caffeine as they keep drinking it through the day. So then by 9, 10 o'clock when they want to go to bed, even though they do not feel the effects of the caffeine anymore, they may still have 100, 150 milligrams of caffeine still in their system. That is really going to inhibit them getting into any kind of REM sleep.
Right.
Because the body can't get into a REM sleep, which is the restorative sleep then. So again, and then that leads us to then higher amounts of inflammation, again, more cortisol, metabolic changes.
You want to lose weight, but yet you can't.
Where your adipose tissue is going, all of the things.
Holy crap.
And which are like 5 different podcasts.
I know. I'm like,
just 5 different topics.
Stay tuned.
Right. So anyway, just kind of keep that in mind when it comes down to that. So, some alternatives, like I like to recommend green tea. It has very, very little caffeine to it, but the way the caffeine is actually like metabolized is it's so different in your body, so you don't have like that that spike of energy and then the drop of energy.
Green tea makes me a little shaky.
Oh, does green tea?
It does a little bit, but
black tea will, yeah.
Yeah, and which is interesting. So I don't ever, and I'm a huge tea drinker.
Yeah.
I love tea. I generally am drinking
Are you
mint.
sensitive to caffeine?
I think I used to be, and it was Ruby Roasters out of, where are they? Wassa?
Never not heard of them.
Ruby Roasters. I'm gonna have to look quick, but they're up north a little bit, and they were so kind, and they sent me a package of coffee beans.
Yeah.
And they were just, it smelled amazing, and so I hadn't had coffee in years.
Yeah.
And time and again, and I try to drink decaf coffee if I feel like it, but and so I was making that for myself, and I was, shaky, or, you start to get those effects. And, but I've always, even when I stopped drinking coffee, green tea just always made me just a little shaky. But I only would drink, I didn't drink coffee at the time, and I was drinking only mint or chamomile, just more herbal teas than a caffeinated tea. So it was kind of an interesting thing, and I don't know if it, does it matter if it's like Lipton green tea or like some really nice green tea that you might be getting, specialty type green tea that's not,
Well, I think a special kind of green tea. I think a special kind of green tea will probably have more caffeine.
That's what I'm thinking too.
It'll be a stronger
like when I've traveled abroad.
But also like how long you steep it determines the amount of caffeine too.
Yeah.
So there's lots of things that kind of. But again, it's still a lot lower.
Right. Oh, it's significantly lower than coffee.
Yeah, significantly.
Well, and really, you talk about coffee. Depending on where you get your coffee, there's different levels of caffeine.
Yeah, for
soda
sure.
has different levels than coffee. Monster has different, like then you look at different beverages. But the one thing I do tell people, okay, so you have your cup of coffee, whatever.
Yeah.
The people that really make me nervous are the ones who are doing Monsters in the morning or some sort of a energy drink. Like, please.
This stuff is so hard on your nervous system.
Yes. Your heart is
it's crazy.
I mean, just eat a stick of butter instead or something. I don't know. Like that would be better off. Like, I just feel like the effects of energy drinks, I mean, those aren't FDA approved.
Right.
They can put anything in there, and
they do.
They do.
They do
people
because
have died
they're trying
from
to create the addiction there.
Right. And it just, it makes me really nervous when people are doing that, especially when I get a high schooler.
And kids like you just said, kids actually have died because of those.
They have. So I don't even want to talk about them outside of the fact that they're like literally one of the worst things you can put in your body.
Yeah.
And that's again why it's like, if I hear, you drink coffee, that's fine.
Sure.
But we're just here to tell you the information about, the caffeine piece of it. And I think soda may warrant its own podcast with artificial sweeteners.
Yeah, artificial sweeteners are definitely a topic.
All of that kind of stuff. So we'll definitely get to that. Yeah. But point being, please, please, please drink water. It's okay to have caffeine. Now that you know what you know from this podcast, maybe you'll change it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
Cool.
Okay, that's all.
All right.